Welcome to the Grief Relief Show with mother-daughter team doctors Gloria and Heidi Horsley, brought to you by the Open to Hope Foundation, helping people find hope after loss. Today we'll be talking about losing a sibling. Your brothers and sisters can be your best friends. They're the only people who know who you truly are from the day you're born. There's no bond greater than that of brothers and sisters. There's nobody you can fight with so fiercely one minute and then defend just as fiercely the next. The love between siblings is like no other. And the loss of a sibling can be so devastating that you may feel like you lost a piece of yourself. It's okay if you need help as you struggle to go on living without them. Now here's Dr. Gloria and Dr. Heidi.
Well, Heidi, we've got an interesting show today, and I know that it's one that's dear to your heart.
Yes, it is, and I'm so excited that we are bringing in all these people that have had a sibling die so that we can educate the world about how horrific it is to lose a sibling and what a big part of our lives are gone when our sibling is out of our lives.
Absolutely, and we want to dedicate this show today to the Newtown survivors, those siblings there, because we know it is quite a journey for them, and it will be. You know, one of my friends said to me, they're scarred for life, the siblings of these kids at Newtown, and I was wondering, what's your thought?
Well, I always say, Mom, from my experience, you know, losing Scott has defined my life, but in no way has it destroyed my life. Because I feel like our brothers and sisters, they live forever in our hearts and in our memories and in our lives.
And you know, there's some different aspects about sibling loss. Now, my brother died a couple of years ago, and you know, he was in his late 70s. I didn't see him that often, and I'll miss him, and I have happy memories of him. But losing a sibling out of context is really a different kind of experience, isn't it?
It is, because like I always say, you know what, our brothers and sisters, we expect them to be in our lives forever.
And these are some good tips you're giving us.
Yeah, they're parallel travelers in our lives. We grow up with them. We expect for them to be at our weddings. We expect for them to be at our graduations, to have kids together, to grow old together. Most kids in the United States will spend 80 to 100% of their lifetimes with their siblings. We spend 33% of our lives with our siblings growing up, even if we don't like them.
Wow. Well, we're going to have some great siblings come on the show today. Alijah Marquez, whose brother was killed in a motorcycle accident. Chris is going to be on with us. And Jason Stout is going to come on, and he's got a program that is amazing, Outward Bound. He's a bereaved sibling, so we'll be talking to him today. It's going to be a great show on sibling loss.
I am excited, and I'm particularly excited to talk about Outward Bound because Outward Bound is a program that really saved my life and transformed my life after Scott died.
And some of the things about getting in group, and we're going to be talking a lot about what siblings can do. Can you talk a little bit about the Compassionate Friends Sibling Program quickly? Because I know you're on their board.
Sure, okay. Compassionate Friends is the largest peer support organization in the world, and they have 660 chapters, and we have an amazing sibling program. And we get all these siblings together, and you know, it's so powerful to be in a room with other people that have had a brother or sister die because they really get it. And you don't really have to say a lot, you're just there with them, and it really normalizes your experience.
And we've got a great studio audience today, and I know some of them have lost siblings, so it's going to be a great show. And we want to introduce Alijah Marquez now to our show.
Great.
Hi, Alijah.
Hello.
Hi, Alijah.
Hi.
So great to see you.
Good to see you too.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming on
I'm
today.
excited.
Okay.
Have a seat. Well, I met your mom at the Compassionate Friends about 3 years ago, right after your brother Chris had been killed in an accident shortly after, and got to know her, and what a great family you've got, and meeting you and having you come to Compassionate Friends last year. Can you talk a little bit about Chris?
My brother died when he was 24, so it was about 3 years ago, I think in August.
And how old were you?
I was 19 or 8. I was 18, I'm sorry.
Were you still in high school?
It was my 3rd day of my senior year.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. How incredible. Well, we're so sorry about that. You know, it's been a long time for Heidi, almost 25 years, right?
Yeah, but you know, it was interesting because I'm just wondering with your experience, I mean, here you are a senior in high school. You think Chris is going to be in your life forever. He's your big brother. I mean, and to have him suddenly gone, I'm just wondering what that's like going back into high school. Were there other kids that had had brothers or sisters die? Did your friends relate to you?
Well, it was a very bizarre experience. I know I went to school the next morning because it hadn't really like settled in yet.
Right.
And I know I texted a few of my friends about it the previous day, and they were actually very supportive. They didn't really need to say anything. They were just kind of there for me. So, I mean,
Did you find that, I know Heidi has said, well, talk about the cards you got and how people responded.
Well, it's interesting because, you know, there is a kind of a hierarchy in the world where, you know, the death of a child trumps everything else. And so as a sibling, you feel like you're so worried about your parents that you feel like, well, maybe I don't really have the right to totally grieve because my parents are going through so much, and which is one of the reasons we grieve alone, I think, a lot of times. But, you know, I noticed that society tend to minimize my loss. When I said I had a brother that died, they'd say, wow, that must have been really hard on your parents. And my parents got a lot of sympathy cards and a lot of support, and I didn't feel like I did. So I didn't know if that was your experience, or it sounds like some of your friends were there for
my
you.
experience was actually kind of the opposite.
Oh, that's
Because
great.
I know at my
love
brother's
this.
funeral, all my teachers were there, even people that I'd never had as my teacher. And they actually gave me a card and with a gift card inside, and they all signed it with really nice things. So
You know, I love that because I'm thinking maybe times are changing a little bit.
Well, and I'm wondering with texting and the internet, I know with Facebook, it's really changed the way people are grieving. I mean, you can kind of say things to people through text that you might not be able to say through in person.
yeah.
So it sounds like you got a lot of support that way.
I did get a lot of support through Facebook because people would go onto my Facebook and send me, say, like a paragraph or even a sentence, and they wouldn't usually feel comfortable coming up to me and saying it to my face because you don't really know how someone will respond to you.
I love that.
If they've lost someone, you don't really want to go up to them right after because you don't know how they'll respond
And
to
that's
that.
that's what people are always saying. Heidi, we don't know what to say, so we don't say anything. And I say the best thing you can say is, "Hi, we heard that your brother died or your sister. We don't know what to say." It's like, wow, thank you for even acknowledging it. That's a lot. So are there things that people did that helped you?
I would just say the support structure because every single one of my teachers helped me through it. And it was the beginning of the year, so that's when all the projects were starting. And then I had my main group of friends, which really helped me through it. So, and of course, my family.
Did you find that any friends kind of deserted you?
I actually seemed to gain friends because the class that I was in, we were in a lot of similar classes together. And people that I hadn't really talked through the whole year would come up to me and just like give me a hug.
Yeah, I love
So,
that. You have some new friends come into your life as a result. It's kind of amazing, and it kind of cuts through all the crap in a way. But did you find that sometimes people didn't want to invite you to parties, or you were supposed to be more fun?
I actually didn't experience that, and I know the experiences I went through are not similar to what you were speaking about where people do desert you. It seemed like in my case people became closer to me and they wanted to spend more time with
But
me.
I'm wondering if it's something you did. Because I feel like we really need to teach people to be good grief support, and sometimes we feel like they should be psychic, and they don't know what we need. So maybe there was something that you put out there that it was okay to talk about your brother and that they could come to you. I'm guessing that that's what was going on.
Heidi, let's take one question from the audience.
And your name?
Yeah, Charlie Edie.
Charlie.
Yeah, so the question I have has to do with just the teen-parent relationship after loss. And our son died when he was 16, and now his sister is 16. And teens naturally are risk takers, and they like to do things, sort of that their parents don't know about or they don't think they know about. And so I'm just wondering, with that typical teen context, and then you overlay the grief and the loss on top of that, if you could just comment about navigating those treacherous waters.
From a parent perspective, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Okay, Elijah, do you have any comments or?
Yeah, I have a little comment I can throw in. I would say that if you just support your child when they want to take a risk, because I know when my brother passed away in a motorcycle accident, I went and got my motorcycle license.
Oh my God.
Like a month later, it was just because you want to take a risk, but you almost want to do it for them. So if you guys just get involved in the process of them taking this risk, then you're all taking a risk together as a family for your child that you lost. So.
I love that. That's so interesting, Heidi, because I'm thinking of you going on Outward Bound. And that was kind of, 3 months later, you got your motorcycle and you went on a program that Scott went on.
Well, and I think it's important I understand the parent concern, but I think it's also important for parents to realize that we need to be normal teens and normal kids, and we need to have experiences, and that probably nothing is going to happen to us, even though I know as a parent you still are concerned.
You know, I was thinking, Heidi and I were talking earlier, Heidi has worked a lot with 9/11 siblings, and we were talking about like the Newtown disaster, about if it makes a difference how people have died, a motorcycle accident with Chris, you know, that kind of thing.
I did. I worked with 9/11 siblings for 10 years that lost firefighters in the Trade Center, and one of the things I was struck by was our experiences as bereaved siblings are more similar than different. I thought because this was such a national tragedy there'd be differences, but it was very similar. They were worried about their parents, and they often felt that their grief was unacknowledged and minimized because people didn't really understand how significant a sibling is in our lives.
So are you feeling any of that? It sounds like you're feeling pretty comfortable with the whole, do you
I
have
love
any?
it. I love this other
Yeah.
side that I'm seeing.
I know, well, I'm kind of thinking with Facebook and the new
Yeah.
thing, things are changing.
It's definitely a new experience because people are more willing to grieve with you through technology, because I think it does make them more comfortable and keeps them in their comfort zone. And they're willing to reach out to you. Maybe not in person, but that's okay because you're still getting that support. So.
Well, we're going to close you know, this part of the show today, but I want to ask you, are you still riding, and are your parents riding, and
Yeah.
you're still riding your motorcycle, and do you get
Oh,
together?
no. I have my license, but I don't have a motorcycle. So
Oh, okay.
I've only ridden a few times, but
Right.
that's my next present maybe.
Well, I think that's kind of interesting because
Yeah.
that says to the parents, you were saying, what do you do when the kids want to take risks? You wanted to get the license, but you really then didn't really do that
Yeah.
much with it, or, you know, run around.
It was one of those risks that you take for them.
Yeah.
So even though I have it now and I don't use it, at the time I feel like I needed to take that risk for
Right.
him.
Well, listen,
So-
thank you so much for being on the show
Thank
today.
you so much. I loved it.
Oh, thank you. And Heidi, now we're going to see an Outward Bound rollout. And you went on Outward Bound 3 months after Scott died
I
at
did.
Colorado, hiking in the Colorado Rockies. And it was quite an experience for you, wasn't it?
It was unbelievable, yes, and very life transforming.
And Jason Stout's going to come on and after we see the roll-in and talk to us about Outward Bound. And thank you
Very
again
good.
so much
Elijah,
for being on the
thank you
show.
so
I had a
much.
great time.
I don't think there is an ideal thing that a student learns because every course is different, every student is different.
I think the most valuable thing that people learn when they come to Outward Bound is that they're capable of doing more than they thought.
A greater sense of self-confidence.
Confidence.
Confidence that I can really do anything that I want to.
The goal is that every student leaves course as a better person.
Compassion is a theme that goes throughout each section of the course, every day, every moment.
It just gives people that kind of passion for life and that curiosity to go and seek more adventures.
An expedition is about traveling with other people and making sure that everybody gets there and everybody's safe and everybody's taking care of each other.
Probably become a better person because I have learned a lot about myself.
And we're stripped away of all our civilized world.
Yeah, and I hope they just have fun. I hope they find a new way to have fun.
I just want to change the world.
It gets to the heart of it.
I think they'd walk away with finding out something that they didn't know was in them.
Wow, Mom, that really reminded me of my Outward Bound program.
Wow, I remember you going on that. What, you weighed 95 pounds and carried what was your pack? We got letters from you.
It was a heavy pack, but I've got to say to everybody out there, you do not need to be athletic to go on this program. Trust me, I wasn't. And I got so much out of it.
And you went 3 months after Scott died and really got yourself
I
had
was
some
at,
experiences.
I was at the lowest point in my life when I went. Honestly, the pain was so great, I didn't know how I was going to survive or if I wanted to. And after I came back, I knew that anything was possible, and I had hope again. That's how powerful that experience was.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, now we're going to have Jason Stout come on
Yes.
because he is our Outward Bound man, and
I
he's
love
got a new journey for us to talk about.
excited.
Hey, Jason.
Hi, Jason.
Good to see you.
Welcome to the show.
Wow, Jason. I love it. Everything you need in your life is right here in this pack, people. Trust me.
All right, Jason, are you going to help him get his pack off?
Oh, I don't know. Let's see. I think he can handle it, Mom.
I brought the light one here, so I would look good.
All right, Jason. Well, Jason, tell us a little bit about your sister and about your childhood. I know you had a lot of losses in your childhood and have enjoyed, Outward Bound, hiking, and those kinds of things, and set up a whole program. So, but start out by telling us how you got there.
Yeah, well, when I was 4 years old, my sister Maria, she died. She was 5 years old. Maria was born with hydrocephalus. So, hydrocephalus being a brain disorder and excess fluids in her head. So she died, and that was really challenging for me. I just remember how scared I was, that I felt afraid for Maria. I felt like I wanted to know where she was.
And you were a little guy.
And I was a little guy, but I still remember being so worried about her and, when is she coming home? And my mom the other day, she gave me this journal, and she had written that I was always asking, why is there dirt on Maria?
Yeah. So all those young things.
Right.
So then from that, you kind of carried the experience, and you were telling me recently that up until a few years ago, you thought that you'd been involved in her death, right?
Right. Yeah, for many years I carried that story with...
Because she had fallen or something?
Yeah, I was holding her on a couch like this one day, and I was loving Maria, and I dropped her, and it was only maybe 6-8 inches, and she was crying. And I was crying, and that was my last memory of Maria.
Wow. So now you've started this program called Heroic Journey.
Right.
Right, for Outward Bound. You worked with Outward Bound, and tell us about that.
Right, so Heroic Journey, what that is it is Outward Bound. We're using all the same things that we do on Outward Bound, like rock climbing, hiking up a 14,000-foot peak. But what we're doing is we're making it more relevant for teenagers that are grieving. We've added some activities that give the kids that space where they can move into their grief, hold onto it, and let it go. And they're fun activities. And so it's 90% Outward Bound, so they're having fun, and they're finding out what they're capable of, but then we have space set aside where we can talk about what happened and connect with each other.
Yeah. Well, let's take a couple of questions from the audience. We're going to do that at the end, aren't we? Okay. We're going over to look at your equipment in a minute.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's take a look over at your equipment, and then we'll take some questions.
Sounds great.
Want to remind Heidi of some of your equipment.
I know. This is exciting. This is a time travel for me, Jason.
Right.
So here we are over looking at this. Right.
Okay.
So what do we got here?
So right here, well, we have the backpack over there, but here we have a climbing rope.
Wow.
And I think the climbing rope really represents Outward Bound, because Outward Bound is about using challenge, adventure-based challenge, to bring out the best in people.
And Heidi, you remember climbing, right?
Well, the thing about it was, everybody has a strength on Outward Bound, and you don't know where your strengths lie till you get there. And I had never climbed in my life. I mean, my idea of roughing it is a hotel without room service. So, when I went there, I got this, they said, Heidi, you can do it. And I said, I don't know if I can, but my brother had just died, and I was surviving that, so I thought, I'm going to push myself. And it was amazing. Right. This was my strength, was climbing. Rock climbing and rappelling. I never thought I would be good at it.
I want you to tell Jason the story of what happened to you hiking up the mountain. Okay. And our audience.
Okay, Mom, you want me to do that now?
Yep.
On my brother's 18th birthday, he had only been dead 3 months. I was in the exact same mountain region, the Sangre de Cristo Mountains, as he had been 3 months ago. And we had just gotten up an extremely intense hike, and it was all these false summits, and we honestly did not think we could go on. And my group said, we can't go on, we're not going to go on. And we weren't with our leader, we were meeting them. And I seriously prayed to my brother and I said, Scott, if I've ever needed you, it's now. I need you. You need to just somehow help us. And some energy force came in and just propelled us up that mountain. And I know he was with us that day. And it was his birthday. So it was a beautiful thing. So I felt very connected to him.
And I know you talked about looking behind you and thinking somebody had been pushing you up.
I felt hands on my shoulders pushing me up the mountain. But there was no one behind me.
That's a beautiful story.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that really, for the kids that have been doing Outward Bound and this special program for grieving teens on Outward Bound, we hear a lot of stories. Going out into the wilderness and getting away from everything. I think that we connect with that person.
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know you have some little rituals where you write things.
Right.
Write their names on the equipment.
Yeah, well, we have one of the things we do, and on every course, and you did this, right? You climb to the top of a mountain, you do a peak ascent. But what we do is we hand out athletic tape, and the participants can write the name of their loved one who died, and then also someone alive that they care about, and then they climb that mountain.
Yeah.
And it's a 14,000-foot
That's
peak,
amazing.
and it's so hard. And every step that they take, they're connecting with that person until they get to the top.
Wow. Well, tell us about this stove. I mean, Heidi complained and complained and complained about taking the stove.
Well, you don't want to carry any more than you have to, trust me, because your life is on your back.
Right. Well, we were talking, 1982, that's when you did
83, yeah.
1983, I'm sorry. The stoves might have been bigger then.
Yes,
so
they were.
This is the Whisper Light. This is a very light stove. And but you can cook up big pots of pasta, refried beans.
Yeah, sweet, a lot of that.
Yeah.
We peanut butter.
Yeah.
I know you guys were laughing about how good the food tastes out there.
Yeah, I mean, if we were to have some of that food right now, we might not want it. But when you're out in the wilderness and you've been hiking all day and you've been exercising, then it's incredible what will taste good.
You know, Heidi, I really liked what you said about going out there 3 months later, because I think there's people out there in the audience who are thinking, could I do that this early, you know?
Well, you know, Mom, my life was hell at that point, and so I felt, you know what, my life can't be any worse than it is on this now, and so I might as well just go out and do something out of my comfort zone because I was in such a bad space.
Right.
I think one of the highlights of the program for me was the 3-day solo. Being alone with a journal and myself and not having to wear the mask and pretend was very freeing. And you don't have to pretend on this program. You can cry, you can scream, you can yell, nobody cares.
Right.
It was a beautiful thing.
Well, let's take some questions. I know we might have some questions from the audience out there for you guys. Does anybody have a question for them?
Let's see it closer.
Good. You want to give us your name?
Jen Pacheco. Do we have any Heroic Journey for Adults programs?
Yeah, that's a great question. So since we started this program back in 2006, we've had about 550 participants graduate from the 7-day program. And most of those have been teenagers, ages 14 to 18, but we have done a couple of patrols, that's what we call our groups of 10, and they were ages 19 to 24. And it was a wonderful program for them, and we are excited about adding some adult programs. At this point right now, we are primarily serving just 14 to 18-year-olds, but I would look on the Outward Bound website and just stay in touch with us because that new adult course should come open the end of 2013.
Fabulous.
Well, thank you. So Heidi and Jason, I want to know what you think. You're both bereaved siblings. I would like to know what you think that the main thing, if you could tell a sibling out there, what would it be?
You first.
The main thing?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow, Mom, that's tough. That's a really hard question. I guess for me, you'll never forget your brother or sister ever. It doesn't matter how much time goes. They live forever in our hearts, our memories. My brother is my guiding light, and he gives me endless energy, and he's always with me.
Yeah.
I would say that it's important to find a program, whether it's a Heroic Journey or Compassionate Friends, to connect with others that have experienced what you have. And there's just so many wonderful programs out there, 650 chapters for Compassionate Friends. And I think nothing feels better than knowing that you're not alone in the grief journey.
I agree with that.
Well, Jason, we have something for you today. Open to Hope wants to give you a check for a student to go on Outward Bound, a bereaved person, and we would love a bereaved sibling, and we want people to know out there, if you know somebody who's a bereaved sibling that you would like to send on the Outward Bound program, we are giving a scholarship to Jason, and it will be a full scholarship for flight and whatever to go on your program.
Thank you so much. I just want to give Thank you.
Thank you, Jason,
Thank you.
for everything you're doing. Yeah, it's so important.
Yeah, it is so important, the work you're doing with Outward Bound. And Heidi, you're a perfect example of...
Absolutely. I will sing Outward Bound's praises because, like I said, it has changed me.
Absolutely. I think it's knowing that you are able to do something that you never thought you could, and that stretch and that journey that you have people do is going beyond your capacity, and you're always there to support them. And you know, I love the fact that you're a bereaved sibling, and you know what it is for them. And you've also lost a parent too. Didn't you lose your parent before you were 14 too?
Yeah. When I was 4, my sister died, and when I was 7 years old, my grandmother was murdered. And then when I was 14, my dad died of a heart attack in his sleep.
Amazing. It's so inspirational for me to hear someone that's had all these losses before 14 and has gone on to transform their lives and help others through the journey.
Yeah.
You are inspirational.
Well, I just want to say that Outward Bound has been a big part of my healing journey, and I started with a 7-day course, and I took a 78-day Outward Bound course.
Wow.
And that gave me the
Jason,
confidence to do this.
we got to wrap it
Love
up
it.
now,
Love
and
it.
I want to thank everybody for watching the show today, and blessings to all those people in Newtown, and to all the bereaved siblings out there. You'll make it, right?
Yeah.
And God bless.
That's great. This is for you. You'll love this.
This has been the Grief Relief Show, hosted by mother-daughter team Drs. Gloria and Heidi Horsley. This show has been brought to you by the Open to Hope Foundation, helping people find hope after loss. Be sure to visit opentohope.com, where you can listen to radio programs, watch Open to Hope TV, read articles, and view books. You can also join Dr. Gloria and Dr. Heidi on Twitter and Facebook, and put your events on their international calendar. Thanks for watching, and remember, others have been there and made it. You can too.